Hey everybody, how's it going today? Well, yeah, so this video is going to be a little bit different. If you're familiar with the kind of videos that I put out, normally I try to make them a little bit more educational than anything else. This one's not really going to be too educational. If anything, maybe what we could say is that this video will be how to not trade in Path of Exile. So I had something happen to me just probably 30 minutes ago, and it was so funny that I felt like I really needed to make some sort of a response video to it. So let me just get started with the story. So for those of you who are playing in the new leagues, either Warbands or Tempest, you might be trying to complete the 8 out of 8 challenges. And one of the challenges is to assemble divination card sets. So some of the sets are worth vastly more than others. Some of them are pretty dirt cheap. So, I did some research and I had kind of identified some card sets that, while not exactly cheap, I could still put them together and not feel like I was just absolutely going to break myself in terms of currency. So, I sat around and I watched on PoE.trade for a few days just to see what these kind of cards were selling for, to kind of get a baseline on maybe what I should offer. And then I just decided to start trying to pick up cards at what I felt was a fair rate in trade chat. And it worked pretty well, actually. I was able to get quite a few cards at a what I would consider a decent price, not too high, not too low. I didn't feel like I was screwing anybody because, I'm not buying your cards low so that I can scoop them up and resell them, or buying your cards low so I can turn them in and sell the thing that I'm trying to get for vastly overpriced amounts of money. Anyways, one of the card sets that I was trying to collect was the Encroaching Darkness, which is it's a divination card set, 8 of 8, and when you turn it in, you get a corrupted unique map. So there's a lot of variability in there in terms of what maps it could give you. It could give you something very nice, a very nice corrupted map, or it could just give you one of the lower level corrupted map, or one of the lower level unique maps corrupted, and there wouldn't be really much difference at all to it. So anyways, on PoE.trade, it was not uncommon to see people selling those for a chaos or even 2 fuse. There were some people trying to sell for more, say 2 chaos or 3 chaos. So I decided, hey, if I can get these for a chaos each, then, I'm definitely in. So, I spam trade chat, not just for the Encroaching Darkness, but also for some other cards too, and, was kind of just steadily picking them up. Well, if you link, when you're trying to buy these, if you link your cards into the trade chat, the person who is reading trade chat can actually hover over your card and see how many you've collected, assuming that your whole stack is what you're linking. So I got up to, after a few days, I got up to 7 out of 8 of Encroaching Darkness, finished some other sets, and was pretty happy about it. So I spammed chat trade. I said, hey, I'm willing to buy this for 1 chaos, and I even said that I would pay 2 fuse, which I'm kind of holding on to fuse more than chaos these days, because chaos just, yeah, they just seem a little bit artificially inflated. And I had a guy message me. He linked the card, and I said, awesome. I said, oh yes. 1 C or 2 fuse, and he said neither. 5 chaos because it's your last card. And I was a bit taken aback, but I thought it was funny, so I just messaged him back, and I said ha ha ha, no thanks, and put a smiley, and I figured we were done there. He he made a counter proposal, and I did not want to take his counter proposal for obvious reasons. I mean, he's price gouging. basically. He's basically admitting to my face, hey, I know this is the last one you need, so I'm going to raise the price up on you. Now, if you're going to price gouge me, don't tell me you're price gouging me. How stupid are you? Really? If he would have just messaged me and said, hey, I've got this card, but I want a little bit more than 1C for it. Would you do 5? Maybe we could have talked around and reached a point like 2 or 3C, because, it's not that much. If I've got somebody there with the card that's willing to sell it to me, then sure, I've got some wiggle room, but don't just straight up insult my intelligence. Anyways, so he messaged me back, and he basically said that he said, do you think 1C is a fair price? If you think 1C is a fair price, then I'll buy all 7 of yours for 7C. And I said, yes, I do think 1C is a fair price, but you have to take into account the amount of time that I've spent collecting these cards and buying them. So no, I'm not going to sell mine to you for 7C. And he said, well, I've spent a lot of time collecting these cards too, so no go on 1C. And I whispered him back and I just said, I respect that. And that is certainly your, within the realm of reason. Sell the card for whatever you want to sell it for. If you feel like you've invested a lot of time and effort into that one card, sure, try to get whatever you can out of it. But it's not, though, for those low-level cards like that, this guy is acting like he has a goddamn Brittle Emperor. It's not a Brittle Emperor. It's not any of those high-level cards. It's an Encroaching Darkness. It's not a seller's market on those low-level cards like that. It's a buyer's market. They're all over the place, So I was just really like a weird mix of emotions at that exchange. Most people that I've dealt with, in fact, that is really this league, that is really the first trade encounter that I've had that I would say has been an awkward encounter. And I've done hundreds of trades this league. Hundreds. And that's the first one where somebody has just been blatantly a jackass. So congratulations. I've forgot his name. I wouldn't even say his name if I remembered it, because I'm not all about naming and shaming, etc. I'm sure he will eventually get the money that he wants for the card, or he won't, and he'll lower the price. I mean, I was just like, I was just taken aback. I mean, I'm not a flipper. Do you think I'm a flipper? Because, most of the time with flippers, when they're trying to sell, you can usually tell a flipper because they don't have any challenges met. And they've got these fucking huge long lists of buy and sell, and the prices are so stupid. And no fucking flipper would ever waste their time trying to Jew people out of, excuse my language there, the racial slur. No flipper would ever waste their time piddling with like 2C, because there's no money there. So anyways, I was pissed off, but then at the same time I was amused, because it's just so funny. What the fuck? Anyways. So, I guess lesson learned, some education out of this. If you're in trade chat and you're trading with people and you're trying to inflate some prices a little bit to get the most out of what you have, there's no problem with that. There's no problem with that. But don't do it in such a way that the person actually knows and insult their intelligence. You have a right as a seller to ask whatever you want. And I have a right as a buyer to basically disagree and say, no, I'm not going to buy it at that price. Especially for common items. Especially for common items. There's no leverage there. There's no leverage in any of those lower level cards like that. So anyway, regardless of the fact if I'm one card away, I'm not a fucking hamster in a wheel trying to get a piece of cheese. I'll just wait. And here's what I did. I went to POE.trade. I looked on there. There was one guy selling for 3 fuse. Tried to message him, but he was offline. Okay. Next guy, there were tons of people selling at 2C. Picked one, messaged him, and I got my card for 2C. So, and then I ran my map. It was a corrupted Maelstrom of Chaos. So got some uniques out of it. Nothing worth writing home about, really. And also, by the way, seriously, devs, why is Mervale whispering to me every 2 seconds, telling me come this way? She's dead. I already killed her, and I know where to go. She just seems like the overly attached girlfriend at this point. Just shut the fuck up. I know where you are. I know how to find you. I'll get in touch with you. Don't call me. I'll call you. Okay? I'll text you. God. Tone that shit down. Like, it doesn't need to happen every 2 seconds. Now, especially a Maelstrom of Chaos, I understand it in like the zones that she's in, because they're a little bit like, kind of cavey and kind of like mazy, And if you have your headphones on and if you got surround, you can actually hear which direction, blah, 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 blah. You guys get the point. Anyways, so this is kind of like a rant video. Don't count on me doing much of these. You guys, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I'm like super laid back about things. I don't really get peeved very often. But I just felt like this was a special moment in my life, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So anyways, until next time, game on.